Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing, everybody? Who do we have on? Let's see. We have Sergio, Michael, Nathan, what's up, brother? Dean, Tyler,
What's
Mark,
up?
Matt, Leland, Chris. Chris, I just saw you drop the video in the WhatsApp. Cannot wait to see it. Haven't seen it yet. We got a few other people that called in. Does anyone want to share what they're present to, what's on their minds?
Hey, Fernando, it's Kirk Adams from American Foundation for the Blind.
So happy to have you here. You're one of the
Yeah, glad to be here. Yeah, I'm the 206.
Beautiful. 206. All right. Is it cool if I save your number, Kirk?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my cell. It's a Seattle number, but I'm in Virginia.
Oh, nice. So we're in the East Coast, same time. Thank you for being here, Kirk.
Good morning, Kirk Adams. This is Friend Ben Fox.
Mr. Fox.
Good morning, Kirk
Morning.
Adams and Mr. Fox.
Hey,
Is
hey.
that the Kirk Adams? Like the
It
man
is-
that is
it is-
changing
it-
the
it is
meaning of
I.
blindness in America? Thank you, sir.
That's the one day at a time. Yep,
That's it.
absolutely.
Let's go. Let's go, brother. So it's great to hear your voice, Kirk. All right. Well, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Morning,
Hey,
Sean.
it's fun. Yeah, I'm doing awesome. How everybody doing well out there?
Doing great. Good morning.
Awesome.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, so as we dive in this morning, I am quite confident that this is an important access to share, and this is like getting a different vantage point on a thing. So when let's say I had the blessing and privilege to go to my beach house, right? It's different if I'm experiencing the house from sitting on the first level versus sitting on the second level versus sitting on the roof. Those are like three different perspectives on the island and Long Beach Island. So what I want to do right now is similarly give us a different perspective on the work we're doing here together. Because sometimes what I have found, and the takeaway for this conversation, guys, there's a little bit of rustling, so if you're rustling a little bit, if you mute yourself, whoa, all kinds of things are happening. Can you guys just mute yourself? Tiffany, can we put everybody in mute, please? We said we'd do that, and then you'd unmute people. Okay. So, okay. So, Tiffany?
Yep, I'm doing it now, Sean.
Okay. So let's just start that way, and then we could, because it just gets a little disruptive for everybody. There we go. What's our ETA to mute, Tiffany?
Like 60 seconds.
All right. So as we look and think at this work and anything in the world, quite frankly, I think it is not uncommon that we could see things in a linear fashion. And what I mean by a linear fashion is like one cause and one effect. So one cause and one effect. So if I'm going to go buy milk, I'm going to go buy, pick out milk, go to the register, pay for it, and leave. When in fact, that trip to buy milk might be a great way to get in state, listen to some personal development material. It could be a way to connect and call my mom and tell her I love her. It could be a really meaningful place to contribute to the world by saying hello to people in the store in a kind and beautiful way, by speaking to the person at the register. And, it could be a place to hold the door open for somebody. So when we're engaged in the world, sometimes we could default into, and by the way, when I say the word default, I think we all know what it means, but I mean, it's just reflexively be at or about, like this is the thing. And it's just this, like we could people default to know. We could default to truth. We could default to thinking that people are telling us their legitimate objections in a sales context when they're really not. So we can have a default means like just what it is at baseline. So for many folks in the world, their baseline, their default is linear processing of things. I am an extraordinary proponent and beneficiary of what I would call exponential thinking. So we talk about exponential acceleration and growth, but there's also exponential numbers of ways to look at why we do what we do and the benefits of it. I know that's a lot, like that we're saying, on a fun Friday morning, that's a lot. But here's the specific application of what I'm saying in this moment. Aside from, like in every moment, thinking of what are the multiple outcomes and benefits of every situation. And by the way, also, for example, in a nonlinear way, thinking that life is always working for us. For those that believe in God, that God is always making all things work together for good. These belief structures can be very empowering and change the context and prism through how we see things, experience things, right? Think about things. So here's where I'm going with this. In addition to selling more, in addition to the benefits of accelerating our marketing, here's how this work fits in also. And it came up for me last night, late last night, and super early this morning. And here's what's available for you. So I'm at a dinner last night, and it was truly wonderful and incredible. And I couldn't be more grateful to Dan Geltrude, America's accountant, Rob Gill, Mike Crouppen, greatest life insurance person in the world, the president of the New Jersey Bar Association, the president of New Jersey Real Estate, the Real Estate Association of New Jersey, essentially, and numerous other incredible people that were there last night. And I think also, by the way, Kirk, whenever you're in town, let's talk and be coming to these dinners, because there's enormous access and ecosystem merger potential for the AFB as well. So when we're there, my outcome for the evening is to be present, to connect, to serve, to facilitate, to listen deeply. And this is like, an A triple plus blessing from God ecosystem merger meeting that I worked incredibly hard over time to put together. And so did a number of the people there. Well, my phone starts blowing up, and my phone starts blowing up because somebody was in a complicated scenario. And this complicated scenario, which I'm not going to share what it was, but if I did, you'd say, what in the world would that possibly have to do with you? And the answer is nothing. So let's pretend the situation was their cat was caught in a tree. Like their cat was caught in a tree, but they love their cat. And they love their cat incredibly. And for some bizarre reason, at 10 o'clock at night, they're blowing up my phone to say, help me get my cat out of a tree. And it's a person that has extraordinary influence. It's a person that is a client and a friend. And I had a choice to make in that moment. And they were in a panicked, crazy situation. So I appropriately figured out, although it was a bit stressful and challenging, how to remove myself from this amazing meeting for a bit and to be fully present and connecting with this person and their need. And actually, the cat scenario is a little complicated. Let's pretend it was maybe the same cat scenario, and I'm actually Superman. I could fly, and it was only me they perceived in the world that could rescue the cat from the tree, because if they called the fire department or police, they couldn't get the ladder high enough. So I had a unique skill set to help them get the cat from the tree, and there's nobody else they perceive that could do it. Well, that exact scenario is because of the results formula. And it led to me being on the phone until after 1 a.m. with various people. It led to me being up at 6 o'clock this morning when I had to shoot videos at 6:30 and spending 2 more hours and completely screwing up my video shoot schedule. But here's the point. The point is that the skill sets you're learning, and when you see a video of me, tongue in cheek, but not fully kidding. Tongue in cheek, but not kidding. Okay? When I say that this model and this ability to influence is the only attainable superpower for us in the world, I actually believe that. And the reason that these phone calls were coming my way, the reason that people were convulsively crying on the phone with me at 1 a.m. was because they felt heard, they felt understood, and they felt like only I and all the humans they know on the face of the earth could intervene in the situation and go from hello to yes with multiple levels of complexity from multiple perspectives in a he said, she said, somebody's wrong, somebody's right. Everybody is deeply in their own ego and significance and emotions and pain and triggering and charges and all sorts of things. But when people know that you love them, people know that you care, and people know that you have the integrity-based human influencing skill set to bring everything that needs to go from hello to yes, from hello to yes, it's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible contribution that you can give to people and the world. And from a self-focused vantage point, it is also something that creates an incredible ability for you to have massive value to people in your world, in their lives. And you don't have to be an attorney. You'd have to be, a professional service provider, because this had nothing to do with being a lawyer. It had everything to do with facilitating a positive outcome for people and helping people through their emotions, their pain, their triggers, their complexity, by knowing how to build emotional rapport, elicit pain and yes strategy, convey unique identity, reach agreement by maintaining the 10 indispensable elements of the 4 energies, which, by the way, as the byproduct of the byproduct of the byproduct, ends with an unbelievable ecosystem, one of the most powerful in the world, seeing me amongst all these incredibly successful and talented and wonderful humans as the source of the solution. Like the source of when it all is going crazy, there's only one person to turn to, which, by the way, is why Batman is Batman, right? And like superheroes are superheroes. Why like champion coaches are champion coaches, champion business leaders are champions, and what leadership truly means is when it's all going down, all going wrong, who do people want to turn to? And what the outcome of this program for you is, that it is that for you at never-ending increasing levels in your ever-expanding ecosystem. So at never-ending levels and never-expanding levels, you are the person that people turn to. As your world continues to expand, that becomes more and more people. And everywhere I go, I am blessed and privileged with that being the reality. And that is exactly what is available and possible for you. And that comes from non-self-focused, multidimensional, linear thinking, exponential thinking, not linear, because I could have easily said, I can't deal with this, and said sorry. And I wanted to, because I knew it was going to impact my state. I knew I was in flow. I was in fun energy. I was feeling great. I was in goddess energy. I was in aspirational energy. I didn't want to drop into Zeus. Just didn't want to, right? And that can take some energy. But overall, it was the right thing to do, because I'm claiming to be a force for good in the world and trying to make the world a greater place. And there was a massive opportunity, a major opportunity, a massive impact on creating good for a lot of people, right? And at the same time, everything inside of me said, I didn't want to. Like, I didn't want to deal with all that stuff. I knew I had to get up really early. I wanted to be in state. I had to shoot a ton of videos this morning. I had several tremendously important meetings. And everything inside of me said, you can't, you're not going to sleep. This isn't going to feel good. But at the end of the day, our love for people is exactly what leads to our leadership. It's exactly what leads to our relationship value, how our ecosystem operates in the world. And if there's any piece of anybody that's hearing, well, like value and doing good and love, like these are different things, well, I would beg to differ. I think they're one and the same thing. And I know this, as my relationship capital and value raises in the world, it gives me more and more of an opportunity to have a greater impact on doing good. And it does precisely the same thing for you. So, on this fun Friday, and this is not a light and fun topic, and we'll end with a little bit of fun, but I would have been remiss not to capitalize on sharing what like literally was happening in real time. And that's a part of what I want to do with these videos. So these huddles live, is to make sure that I'm giving you real-time data and not some scripted story, because this content is real. It is alive. It is my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, every single day of my life. And you're going to get it every day like that, and the application of the principles continuously, so you can see this isn't a bunch of nonsense, and see how it lives and it breathes and how it operates in multitudes of dimensions exponentially. So with that said, Tiffany, let's just unmute everybody. With that said, is there anybody that has any questions, comments, thoughts about what I just shared, or anything in the world? I know that was a lot. And what I find is when we drop like heavy a lot, sometimes it takes a little time to process. Yes. Did I hear Sean or no?
I don't think so, Mr. Callaghy.
Yeah. Is that Fernando?
Yes, that's me.
I heard a female voice say,
I'll type up. I feel like a lot of times
Who's
in the
this?
past, it's Bronwyn. I'm sorry.
Hi, Bronwyn. How are you?
I'm good. This is the first time I've spoken today, so I'm
Woo-hoo.
proud of me.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I feel like this is really powerful for me. I might cry about it. I've gone the last year working in the organizations of other people, with them feeding me leads and training their sales teams, and I have felt overused a lot. I'm only paid on commission, and sometimes it's really, really dry, and I have felt like I didn't love the people enough. So this was this was the like, wake up, it's okay to do way more than paid for, and it's okay to do it out of love, really, for a while anyway. The money will show up. So this is
Yeah.
this was a really big, this was big. It made me
No.
think, made me cry.
No. Well, thank you. And I appreciate you so much. And I also share, though, that while it is great to do more than you're paid for, okay, I live in a place where it's a little bit easier to make those choices. So it's a little bit easier for me to make those choices. And so I'm loving your listening and the depth of your processing, but I'm also telling you to love yourself too, and to make sure that you're making the most intelligent decisions to take care of yourself first. It's important to take care of yourself first, you know, and this is a very cheesy, overused personal development, you know, cliche, but I will use it, you know, and I don't like I despise cliches, right? But it's very applicable. We're in an airplane, the mask drop, they say put your mask on first, you know, before you put on somebody else. And so I can't evaluate the entire situation in detail, but just make sure that you're taking the opportunities to take care of yourself first. And if it is commissionably based, that's an amazing thing. Then maybe let's also rip it open and say, hey, what can you go create in a new, expanded way of thinking at a faster rate than ever? And so, you know, make sure that's so maybe in multidimensional listening. So the one listening is, yes, it's always great to do more than we're paid for, always, right? Second, let's think of how we can create more at a more accelerated rate to get paid for delivering massive value. Like, how can we be thinking of our listening through that prism? And also think about, hey, is this situation fair and appropriate, and does it fit? Is it aligned with is this going to work for me? And that's always a great conversation to be having, as well as many other listenings. And I'm incredibly grateful that you said your first words of the day in the huddle. So appreciate that. And, you know, you brought a lot of value to my day and to everybody's day. And I could feel your energy, your integrity, your caring. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So let's pause on subject matter. And, you know, maybe we'll go 3 more minutes and move it over, but I always want to over-deliver. Fernando, is that you, brother?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hey. So, Fernando, fantastic job last night. Super grateful for your presence, your delivery. You did a remarkable job in communicating and presenting last night. And just as a brief example of possibility for people, a brief example. Actually, let me do the setup this way. So about 5 years ago, maybe it's more like 6 or 7, I was doing some free events, and it was a way of creating relationships. And I was very lacking in my intentionality and how it was coming together. And we had some, you know, beautiful souls there, but it was really turning much more into like a charitable, contribution-oriented situation. And that wasn't my intention for it, was to become charitable, because I was lacking in the intention of the ecosystems I was bringing into the room. It was like just sort of completely random and haphazard. And I have shifted with how I'm intentionally applying ecosystem growth and development in a very real way over the last year, last 6 months, and certainly with massive acceleration the last 3 months. So, Fernando, can you just give a sense for people and what's possible for assembling a room of folks to be incredible ecosystem merger potential? Like, how would you evaluate the folks in that room and just the impressions that being in that room left on people from last night?
First off, it was, you know, when we in process mastery to create frictionlessness and create ecosystem mergers, our goal is to ascend into leadership. This dinner was like almost like a cheat code hack, because, and it wasn't, because there's a lot of effort, as you mentioned, to get to that dinner. But instead of like joining each group and ascending to leadership to have influence with the leaders, we actually brought all the leaders from like different walks of life into one room. Every single person in that room had influence over, like, I would lowball it like 100 people minimum. Like that's like extremely lowballing. And in their
certain had interest over tens of thousands of people.
Yes. So just for the sake, thank you for the sake of it. And like, if you compare like BNI, like when you get to BNI and you walk in like, hi, I'm Fernando, this is what I do, boom, boom, boom. You get like your 15-second pitch. That is like a negative 50 billion compared to like the shares. And even from number one, like you started with Mr. Berg, and I've been analyzing on why, and many different reasons. That's a conversation for a different time. But since the first share, like everyone was already deep emotion, sharing pain. Like I think 2 people cried. I like choked up, and everyone went through and shared such greatness, such amazingness. Like everyone was, and the word we were using was like bragging, but not. They were bragging, not bragging, but it didn't land as bragging to people because of the setup. And they truly shared their greatness. They shared what they're up to in the world. They shared their pain. And it really allowed everyone to, A, see themselves as a human, which is a gift. And 2, see themselves for what they're up to in the world, not what they do. And I think that alone is fascinating. And the last one, and I got this from Evelyn, and I got this from Angela, and I got this from Mr. Berg, that everyone saw similarities in themselves and other people's stories. So what my listening is that people saw their future and their past in people, and that like insanely reduces friction, insanely like hires influence. So I could only imagine what the quote unquote follow-ups of that will be as if like I've known them for 6 to 9 months when we just met, yesterday. So that was the power of what was happening. That's what I was present to. And I was present to the future of communication, the future of humanity, the future of how people share and show up in the world. And it was just a beautiful opportunity to sit in a room of 24 insanely influential people.
Well, thank you, Fernando. And my challenge for you out there today is, how do you begin to build that for yourself? Right? Actually, better question. Why aren't you building that today? Like, why aren't you building whatever you're building, the next level of it today? And how fun will it be to take massive action today on that, and to see what's going to happen in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years? Because we often overestimate what we can do in a year, and incredibly and dramatically underestimate what we can do in 5 or 10. So, final piece to lock that in is build your ecosystem. Build it using the formula. Build it through deep emotional rapport, massive acknowledgement and validation, while maintaining the deepest of level 5 listening. And people will gravitate towards you. We're talking successful people. People making a lot of money. They all want the exact same thing. So even if you feel like you don't belong, because by the way, I would say almost everyone in that room last night questioned if they belonged or not. I had multiple people tell me, I don't know what I'm doing here. And they're wildly successful. Rob Gill says it all the time still. Like, I pinched myself. I don't know if I belong. I thought about it a year and a half ago when I went back in the Tony Robbins ecosystem, sitting in the back row before I'm up talking on stage and sitting in the front row. I questioned it. So it's okay to question it. But you do belong. You are worthy. You are more than enough. Doesn't mean we don't keep developing our skills. Doesn't keep we don't keep accelerating. But you deserve everything that you set your heart, your mind, your intentions, and your actions to. You do, every day. And I'm so grateful for you being here. This is my dream. And thank you for being a part of it. And I want to co-create your dreams with you. So on this fun Friday, I wish you a blessed day full of gratitude, full of pride, full of confidence, full of certainty, and without a doubt, sprinkle with some fun, magic, and adventure. So have an incredible day. Have an incredible weekend. And just thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Callier. Thank you, Bronwyn, for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for being on. And I will see you Monday. And please continue to share your thoughts, your videos, your energy in the WhatsApp. Thank you for your contribution. Appreciate you all. Talk Monday.
Bye.
Bye, Fernando.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.